Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to this awesome tutorial on in-app purchases, most specifically Rebeloper Store with the help of Swifty StoreKit. So let's dive into the code. Okay, there are a few parts that I need to talk about in this overwhelming in-app purchase tutorial. The first thing is that Rebeloper Store has a free version and it has a paid version. Now, most probably you are asking, well, what does the paid version cover? Well, it is something extra above the natural in-app purchase or the normal in-app purchases, but you will see in just a moment. That is that. Now, if you go ahead and download the resources, you will find some, let me just go to the downloadables, and according to your purchase, be it free or the pro version, I'm going to go with the pro version, so I will just explain everything, and you will see if that applies to your current downloadables. So here we have our Rebeloper Store Basic and our Rebeloper Store Pro. Now, if you have purchased Rebeloper Store Pro, you will get this. If not, then just Basic. But don't worry, that covers 95% of all cases. Okay. Now, what you need to do is just simply drag and drop these two folders into your project. And that is pretty simple. I will just go through the example project. So just to be brief and not waste time with typing out code. And I will just explain that. You can also take a look at the example project. And let me just take you to the code resources, I believe. No, it's here under downloadables, and here we go, resources. Here we have the example, and we have a starter project and a final project. So you can take a look at the final code, how you want to type it out. Okay, in this project, we have something called a list that is used by DuckUI. So that is why I'm having DuckUI as a part here. We are using Swifty StoreKit for the in-app purchases part and Keychain Swift to save some data into the keychain. And that is most probably, or rather yet, it is used only with Rebeloper Store Pro. So you shouldn't bother if you are using the basic version at this time. So yeah, pod file, you know how to do that, pod install and so on. So once you installed your pod files, let me just show you what you basically need to set up. Here under Rebeloper Store Setup, we have, of course, inline in-code documentation of what this all means, but I'm going to go with you through it in this tutorial. And finally, we have these two root and virtual good exchange view controllers that I'm going to cover in just a bit. But first, make sure you have created an app in App Store Connect where we are going to, let me just go, Rebeloper Store 5 example. You are needed to create your in-app purchases and go to features, and there we go, in-app purchases. And I have also pre-created all of these. For our example, we have non-renewing, auto-renewable, consumable, and non-consumable. And as you can see, we have free auto-renewable subscriptions. Go ahead and create them on your own. This is out of the scope of the tutorial. It is pretty simple to do. One final thing, here if you click on this, you have your app specific shared secret. Now we are going to use this when we are using auto-renewable subscriptions, and I believe the non-renewable subscriptions too, but I don't recall, but most specifically auto-renewable subscriptions. And while we are at it, let me just explain a few things in App Store Connect and we can jump into the code right after that. Go ahead and make sure that you have all set up under agreements, tax and banking. Most importantly, the paid application or paid apps agreement is all set up. If this isn't set up, then you might have issues with your in-app purchases. And finally, we just go into users and access, and under Sandbox, there's testers here, and make sure, if you haven't already, then create a new Sandbox Tester. Oh, it's quite a mouthful. So you can test in-app purchases on a device. Of course, you're most probably familiar that you cannot test in-app purchases on a simulator. You need a real device and you need this Sandbox Tester. Let me just show you how you want to set up this Sandbox Tester in your app. So go to your settings and select your Apple ID and then iTunes and App Store. And then make sure, if you just scroll all the way down, you see Sandbox account. Make sure you sign in. And sometimes it asks you for multiple sign-ins. Go ahead and relaunch your device and so on. There are quite few bugs with this system, with Apple, but it works. And most importantly, it works in live mode. So no worries on that. Okay, let's go back to our code and finally let's start explaining what you need to set up. Okay, now you have set up everything in App Store Connect, so now you have your IDs. And should you create your IDs? Here we have our bundle ID, for example, com.rebeloper store 5 example dot non-consumable. Now this is the suffix. We have a bundle identifier followed by a dot and the suffix. This is the way you should create your in-app purchases. Now, let's go further. Let me just see. Yeah, there are consumables and non-consumables. Now, these are added here as regular purchases, and you will see in just a moment how I just categorized all of these. We can add images, and those can be found in the assets. And as you can see, I have only one image here, icon-2024. That is the basic icon for our images. And here we have our app icon, nothing too fancy. So let's go back here. So let's create some registered purchases, because that is what we need in order to use these in-app purchases. So here we have our non-consumable, consumable, non-renewing, and free auto-renewable registered purchases. Okay, now this registered purchase is a model that was created for Rebeloper Store, so you won't find this anywhere else, just so you know that you have to use this one. The image URL, this can be, of course, none, but we do have this here. And a suffix, again, the suffix comes after the bundle ID that you have created in App Store Connect. So this is non-consumable. And let me just show you for this one how that looks like. Okay, let's just go back here. It should be like com.rebeloper.rebeloper store 5 example dot non-consumable. But let me just show you. And let's see, let's just wait for it to load. And here we have our non-consumable. There you go, com.rebeloper store 5 example dot non-consumable. You have those three dots there, but you can see that. Okay, so that's that, non-consumable. And this is a regular purchase. There are regular purchases, non-renewing, self-explanatory, and auto-renewable purchase types. Okay, and all of the others are self-explanatory by now. We want to create a registered purchases array also to use this in code, and you will see later how we access all of these registered purchases. But for now, just know that you have to create an array of your created registered purchases. Now, if you have auto-renewable subscriptions, then you must add in here your in-app purchases shared secret, as I told you earlier. Just click the link there below and you will see that string. And should log Rebeloper store, yes, let's set this to true so we can see all of the actions that the program makes in the logs. Okay, that is it for the basic setup for Rebeloper store. And as you can see, without any upfront payment, you already have non-renewable subscriptions, auto-renewable subscriptions, consumables and non-consumables, basically everything from in-app purchases. But stay tuned because I will show you why you should consider purchasing Rebeloper Store Pro. But let's not just go ahead of ourselves. Okay, let's take a look at our root view controller, and I will build and run this project so we can follow along on the device too. Let's just unlock this puppy and let me show you what we have here. Okay, and as you can see, it populated our this is a collection view, it's not a table, it's a collection view controller. It populated everything, and here we have our title, description, and in-app purchase ID. All of these three are fetched from App Store Connect that you have entered in the App Store Connect portal. And we have our consumables, non-consumables, we have all of our products here. Now, if you want to get the info, like not just fetching it automatically, you can do so by tapping on Get Info, and it will get info. And as you can see, we have racetrack, that's the title, and so on. Price. Okay, now if we want to verify it, we can verify it because maybe you want to have a lock on, let's say, a track for your game. Then you want to verify it before the user gets access to it. So there we go, you can verify it too. Let's click on OK there. And of course you can purchase it if you tap on there, working, purchasing, and of course you can go through it and we can purchase this track. And I will cancel that out for now. Okay, and that is basically it. We can set up, let me just show you the auto-renewable subscriptions verification, because that is kind of tricky because these free auto-renewable subscriptions are set in one group. So let's click on verify here, and it asks us, do you want to verify only this ID or the whole group? And I would want to verify only this ID. So let's see if this auto-renewable was indeed successfully verified. And there we go, locking content, because the last or the expiration date has been, so it expired basically. Okay, so there you go. We can also restore the purchases if we wanted to there. So let's see how that looks like. Okay, let me just go. I will just stop this so we can see a little bit more. And everything that you saw here is inside the root view controller. Okay, let's just scroll a little bit down and take a look at these observables. Now, I'm using Reactive Kit and Reactive Programming, but you can use this knowledge in your imperative code too. The first one, populate with in-app purchases. There we go. We have an observable that is basically an array. If you don't know anything about observables, please note that this Rebeloper store.inapp purchases is an array that can be populated with the in-app purchases once the app starts. Okay, and this is where I observe all of the elements and I update the items of this collection view with the in-app purchases. Okay, and everything is handled by the root cell. Go ahead and take a look at that. But do know that here under Rebeloper Store in-app purchases, we have all of the fetched in-app purchases. Now, how do these in-app purchases get fetched from the server? Well, that is also pretty easy with Rebeloper Store. All you have to do is in your app delegate, so let's go to the app delegate, you just type in Rebeloper Store.start. And everything is taken care for you. We are fetching, we are verifying, and so on. Okay, so now that you have all of your in-app purchases, I'm just going to load them into the collection view controller. And that is how you can access all of your in-app purchases. Now, let's take a look at, restore in-app purchases. And Please do mind that I have this HUD here that says restoring purchases. I won't go into detail. We have some alerts to go ahead and take a look at the details in the code. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the actual functions. So Rebeloper store.restore purchases, and we have a completion handler here, and it returns a success value. If it's successful, then we can surely say that successfully restored. If not, then restore failed. And that is it. One simple call to restore your purchases. Let's move forward. Here we have our exchange bar button. We are just moving to the virtual good exchange view controller. And by now you kind of guessed what Rebeloper Store Pro is about. It's about virtual currency. Okay, let's move a little bit down and take a look at the other buttons that these cells have. And the first one is the Get Info button. Of course, you don't really need to understand all of this collection view controller that I'm here. It uses DocUI. Go ahead and take a look at. I have a whole playlist on DocUI and how you can use this UI collection view controller to your advantage. So here we just call Rebeloper Store Get Info, and we have we insert our purchase.suffix. Now the purchase is coming from the actual in-app purchase that we provide to that cell. As you recall, we added those in-app purchases from Rebeloper Store.in-app purchases. And we are just providing our suffix. Now, you could just type in here dot non-consumable or whatever you'd like to get the info. Okay, we are getting back a product, and from that product, we have a lot of information like the price, and that is the localized price. We have the ID, the title, the description. So go ahead and take a look at these and use whatever you'd like. I'm just going to just print it out and maybe add it into an alert. Okay. No, I'm not printing it out, sorry. I'm just adding it into an alert. Okay, next up, purchase. And I'm pretty sure that you have been waiting this, purchases. And that is, again, pretty straightforward. You want to have your purchases suffix, again, and you just call Rebeloper store.purchase, and it will come back to you with a success completion handler, and pretty straightforward. Now, again, here we have our virtual good exchange. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, because maybe if you have this consumable suffix as the purchase suffix, maybe you are going to buy some coins, and that is, let's say, $2, and you want to give the user 100 coins for those $2. That is why virtual good exchange is an awesome solution for you. Okay, let's move forward. Let's verify. Maybe you want to verify your in-app purchase so you know if you can allow this user to access your content. And again, this is pretty straightforward. We want to first check the purchase type, because there are many types of verification. If this is a regular, meaning non-consumable and consumable, we just go Rebeloper Store, verify regular purchase with a suffix, and we handle the result accordingly. Okay, if this is a non-renewing subscription, a non-renewing subscription, then we want to add a valid duration, because if it's non-renewing, we want to know the time that basically this subscription expires. Most probably you won't be using non-renewing subscriptions, but there you go. You can do that with the Rebeloper Store.verify renewable purchase, and you just simply add your valid duration after the purchase suffix. Okay, let's move a little bit down to the auto-renewable subscriptions. Now, as if you recall, I mentioned that these can be verified via group or individually. Now, I have created an alert here, an action sheet basically, and we can verify the renewal purchase with the suffix. That is pretty straightforward. Or you can verify the subscriptions with all of the suffixes. So we want to create a set of a purchase suffix and then just add that to our call Rebeloper store verify subscriptions with these suffixes. We come back with the result and we handle all of this. Go ahead and take a look at the details, how I handle all of these. And basically when we have the expiry date less than our current date, we can safely know that it has expired. Okay, let's move forward. And yeah, basically that is it. We have verified everything. So go ahead and download the resources so you can take a look at the nitty-gritty of how I implemented this. Of course, you can do it anywhere, anyhow. You don't have to follow this example. But as you see, it's just one line of code calling for all of these. Okay, let's move forward. And this is where Rebeloper Store Pro comes in, because with Rebeloper Store Pro we have a virtual good exchange. Think of it like the App Store Connect in-app purchase system, all of that with virtual currencies inside your very own app. And just think about virtual goods, virtual currencies, like let's say a helmet, a sword, or gems, coins. You can do all of that with Rebeloper Store Pro. So that was that for in-app purchases. Now let's move to the virtual currency exchange. Okay, this is an extra step forward to your games, or maybe in your apps too. So this is a paid product. I will leave the link in the description so you can take a look at that. Okay, now let's go to our virtual currency exchange setup. And this also is self-explanatory, and I have in-code documentation of how you can do that. Basically, we want to create all of our virtual goods. And we have a coin, a gem, diamond, shield, and sword. As you can see, we have consumable virtual goods and non-consumable virtual goods. Consumables, they can be consumed like coins and gems and diamonds. And shields and sword is non-consumables, meaning that it can be purchased only once, and it remains in the possession of the user for the entirety of the app's lifetime. Okay, and we are using keychain, just so you know. This is kept indefinitely on the user's device. So even if they delete it, they can restore all of their purchases. How awesome is that? Okay, we are going to create a coin virtual good with the image URL. I'm just using the same old image URL. The name is pretty important because we are using it in several places. Let's say this item costs 100 coins. So that is why we have our name here. A description when you are going to purchase it, the primary virtual currency, and the time, of course, consumable. Let's go further down, and here we have a list of our virtual goods. Again, this is for coding purposes. Just add them: coin, gem, diamond, shield, and sword. Next up, we want to set some default values upon launch for our virtual goods. And this is pretty straightforward. We want to populate this give virtual currencies on first launch array with give virtual good on first launch elements. And pretty straightforward. We just set the virtual good and the amount we want to give. As you can see, we are giving 0 amount for the shield. And of course, because this is a non-consumable, maybe we want to add it, but why add it when they can purchase it later on? Of course, now we say should log virtual good exchange is the same. We want to log everything in the console so we can see how we are looking when we are manipulating virtual goods. Now, let's go to our virtual good exchange view controller, and we are going to go through it. But before we do that, let me just show you on the device how this looks. Okay, let me just unlock my device. There we go. And now we just tap on our virtual good exchange. As you can see here, we have our coins to gems, coins to diamonds, gems to diamonds, buying a shield and buying a sword. And this is all set up in code in the Virtual Good Exchange view controller. And of course, here we can give 100 coins, take 50 coins, give one shield, take one shield, give resource, delete the gems, clear the keychain, reset keychain, and log the keychain. So we are going to go through all of these inside the code. So let's just stop this, and the easiest way to do this is just scroll all the way through our file. Okay, first off, we want to add our items, and yeah, we have a virtual good purchase. For that, if you recall, we are exchanging coins to gems. That's the first one. And we have an image URL here. I'm just using the same. And the description: exchange 50 coins for 10 gems, virtual good for virtual good. Now, the first one is coin. We are giving coins in exchange for gems. And the amount, this is for the first, so the coins, and for amount 10. So pretty straightforward. We are going to exchange 50 coins for 10 gems. And that is pretty amazing. Just with one line of code, we have created our exchange. And we are doing this for 150 coins for 10 diamonds, 50 gems for 10 diamonds. And finally, we are doing the kind of the same thing for our shield, but for the for amount is just 1. Okay, and we are purchasing the first item with coins and the second item with gems. Okay, that is setting up our so-called shop. Let's move forward. Okay, we have our buttons here. Now, let's give 100 coins, because maybe you want to give them when they collect something in your game. It's pretty straightforward. Virtual good exchange change virtual good of coin amount 100. And that is it. So you get back a result if it was successful or not, but that is simply it. Now let's take 50 coins, and all you have to do is add just minus 50. So virtual good exchange, change virtual good of coin, the amount of minus 50, and that will take away. Maybe if somebody is collecting coins, you give them 1, 1, 1, 1, but if somebody just buys something or loses rather something, then you just remove those 50 coins. Give one shield. Now this is giving. You have collected the shield, you just give the shield of amount 1. How awesome is that? Let's take back that shield, minus 1. So this example shows that even with consumables and non-consumables, this works. Give free swords. Now, we want to give free swords, and you will see that this will come with an error, because non-consumables cannot be given. Let's say if there is only one item of that, we cannot give free swords. So this is an example, good example for that. Let's delete the gems. And this is a new function here, virtual good exchange .delete. And basically this will delete all of the data for that virtual good exchange type. Let's clear the keychain. Clearing the keychain is a good thing when you are testing. So virtual good exchange clear, and it gives us back a success. And let's reset the keychain, meaning that, let's say, this resets it to the default values that you want to give to the user upon first launch. And of course, we want to log the keychain if you want it to. Virtual good exchange, log keychain, current state. This is the current state of our keychain. How many coins we have, how many gems we have, and so on. Okay, I believe that is it. Let me just scroll a little bit. Yeah, we want to exchange our virtual good, and of course we have these virtual good exchange. Yeah, this is just for the actual implementation of our exchange button. That is simple. Virtual good exchange .exchange virtual good amount for good. Yeah, this is inside our cells. So let's say 100 coins. Give me 10 gems for 50 coins or something like that. We have already set those items up. Okay, here we have our show alert, just in case we have some insufficient funds or non-consumable is only one item and so on. Go ahead and use this in your own app if you need that. So that is it for virtual goods, and this has been, I know, a real long tutorial, but you have learned basically everything you need to know in order to add in-app purchases, any type of in-app purchases, and any type of a virtual good exchange items into your app. Again, this is using Rebeloper Store Basic and Rebeloper Store Pro and Swifty StoreKit under the hood. And you can purchase Rebeloper Store Pro by clicking on the link down below. And I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, hit that notification bell to get notified of new videos as they do come out. And as usual, I will see you in the next one.